Live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the pregame show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7.
This game, even though this one's a double-figure loss, it was a clutch game, and there are now 7-9 in those as the buzzer sounds. 143 to 133. Golden State with the loss. They'll get ready for the Memphis Grizzlies and Minnesota, a really tough two-game trip that is upcoming.
Tim Roy on the call right there on 95.7 The Game, or I should say right here on 95.7 The Game last night, as the Dallas Mavericks come into town, Clay Day Part 2, and this time, the Mavericks are triumphant. 143-133, the final, and good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hope you all had a lovely weekend, and it's the holiday season, so get all that shopping done, be safe out there. I don't know if it was here in San Francisco, it was the same, but my God, on Saturday morning, it was just an absolute storm. It was pouring rain. It was windy. And we may have a little bit more of that in the forecast later, but this isn't a meteorology show. Although I do love looking at the weather. I'm a big weather guy. This is about you and the callers and the listeners. 888-957-9570. That's the number to call or text. Because when I say we got a lot to get into, we got a lot to get into. We've got Brock Purdy contract talks already starting to heat up. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network. Someone leaked it to him in Purdy's camp that he's not paying for a dime less than top quarterback market money. That's what he's requesting. So Brock Purdy, for all those who thought, maybe he's going to take the cheap deal. Brock Purdy's trying to get paid. He's not here to help out or do a handout to the team. He's like, I'm not Tom Brady. I'm trying to get paid. And you know what? I don't blame the guy. I don't blame him. But I'll say this. If I'm Kyle Shanahan and I'm John Lynch, I take a very long and hard look at paying Brock Purdy $50 million per year, potentially. It's a lot of money. And things change once you pay the quarterback. You're going to be deficient in certain places. You can't have a stacked team everywhere. Not that the 49ers are always stacked everywhere, but felt like last year that was their strongest team they've had in the Kyle Shanahan era when it came to the secondary, when it came to the defensive line, when it came to the offensive line, when it came to the skilled position players, when it came to the quarterback play. He was an MVP candidate, for God's sakes. They didn't get it done. And when you don't capitalize on games like that, in a Super Bowl like that, then, you have to start scratching your head, and you got to start making some sacrifices elsewhere. And potentially, you're going to be looking at maybe a Deebo Samuel has got to go. Not bringing back Charvarius Ward. You start looking at different positions and saying, where can we trim the fat? Because we're going to have to. And that's when tough decisions are going to be made. So we got a lot to get into there. Obviously, the Warriors taking the L last night, but that's not the biggest Warriors news of the season. No. Dennis Schroeder? Okay. We talked about it. As the Warriors trade for Dennis Schroeder, six-man. He was actually a six-man award finalist a couple times, I want to say. He never won it, but he was close. Brooklyn Nets. So they're trading DeAnthony Melton, the Golden State Warriors, that is, to the Brooklyn Nets, Reese Beekman, and 3 second-round picks for Dennis Schroeder by way of Germany, and a second-rounder. So, in total, the Warriors getting rid of 2 second-round picks, DeAnthony Melton, Reese Beekman, and they're getting Dennis Schroeder. And a second-round pick. So there you go. Really, I just don't even do the pick swap and just, 2 second-rounders. It's easier to say it like that. But I like the move. I think this move is going to be better for them come playoff time. I know, Spadoni, you're just assuming they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not assuming they're going to make the playoffs. But from what I've seen from this team, at their best, they look like a playoff team. Now, the loss yesterday, tough loss. They haven't played well as of late. But I do think Schroeder's going to help in the present. But more importantly, if you get into a series, this is a guy that can win you a game. This is a guy that knows what he's doing at the end of games. He's going to make some boneheaded moves. He's going to make some boneheaded mistakes. I'm not here to say he isn't, because he will. But I like him as a defender. He's not the tallest guy, but he plays longer. 6'1", got a long wingspan. He's feisty. He's an irritant. You guys saw him a couple of years ago. We all saw him against the Lakers. And he did a hell of a job matching up against one Stephen Curry. He'll get you assists. He can drive to the lane. He can knock down a three-pointer, which is improving. And it didn't cost you a lot. And if he's not a fit, guess what? Package him into something bigger and potentially better going forward. So 888-957-9570. Dub Nation, I want to hear from you right now. Your thoughts on the Schroeder acquisition, your thoughts on the Warriors' loss to the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic, by the way. My God. I think that was his fifth 40-point triple-double performance. 16-23, 6 of 11. Got to the line 9 times. Just unbelievable. 45 points, 11 boards, 13 assists. That was peak Luka. Oh, Klay Thompson, 9 of 14, 7 of 11 from beyond the arc. 29 points for Klay. He was second in scoring. And then Kyrie Irving. 8 of 16, 21 points. If they're firing like that on offense, it doesn't matter what the Warriors do. The Warriors can make, like they did yesterday, 27 freaking three-pointers and lose. The most three-point makes in a loss in NBA history. Thank you, Anthony Slater of The Athletic and R95.7 The Game Insider for that little nugget. The most three-pointers in a loss. That's how things are going right now for the Dubs, who fall to 14-11 on the season. Dallas Mavericks improved to 17-9 on the season. This is how the things are shaking out for the Warriors going forward in their schedule, since they will not be in the NBA Cup. And by the way, the NBA Cup final is set. I believe that's tomorrow, Sam Lubman, this Tuesday. Bucks Thunder. Now, it's not the sexiest when it comes to markets.
Possibly.
Thank you, Kyle.
Might be suggestible.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That is what you market it as. It's not, the teams. It's not Thunder versus Bucks. You market the stars. It's a star-driven league. It's Giannis versus Shai. It's Dame, right? Lou Dort. All these guys. The torture chamber. Caruso. Toss him in there. Why not? Hartenstein. There's no Chet Holmgren, which obviously would have been fun to watch, but hopefully he rehabs and gets better soon, because I would love to see Chet out on the court, because when he's out there, this Thunder team's already deadly, but even more so when they got like that to stretch the floor, the defensive presence, all of that. Steve Kerr talked to the media on Saturday and talked about the Dennis Schroeder acquisition.
I'm thrilled. Told Dennis today he's kicked my ass on 3 different continents. And that's, so I'm, you can't beat him, join him. But, 22 playoffs, I thought he was brilliant against us with the Lakers. Watching him in FIBA, the last 2 summers, Philippines, and then, we played them in London in an exhibition game. He's a gamer. He's a competitor, pick and roll player, two-way player. So, losing Melt was a huge loss. And by the way, I want to say thanks to DeAnthony and Reese Beekman for everything, their contributions, their commitment, their effort. It's always hard to trade guys, and we wish them both well. And, but you got to do what you got to do to get better. And this was a move that we felt like made perfect sense. And so he will fill what Melt was doing for us in terms of being able to play on or off the ball, excellent defender, long wingspan. He's a steals guy, forced turnovers, pace, everything that we need, we feel like he can provide.
So once again, the Warriors trade for Dennis Schroeder, point guard from the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for D'Anthony Melton. The Warriors also receiving a 2025 second-round pick, which is via Miami, but from the Nets, while Brooklyn gets Reese Beekman and 3 second-round picks from 2026, 2028 via Atlanta, and 2029 via Golden State in the deal. So, Schroeder, come on down. And hopefully we get to see him in action this Thursday. I would assume we do. When the Warriors start their road trip and take on the Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies, by the way, took the L last night against the Los Angeles Lakers. Although the report I saw over the weekend, like LeBron, I don't know, he's going to be out. We'll see. And then he was in the starting lineup. It was a lot of drama for nothing, but that's the NBA. Drama for nothing. 888-957-9570. Dennis Schroeder. I don't think it's the sexiest move that a lot of Warriors fans might wanted to see, but I think it's the right move. I think it's the smart move. And there's still more moves to be made. By the way, you guys see the report out of New Orleans? A guy named Zion Williamson is available. Does that interest you, Warriors fans? I know Bobby Marks did his little trade machine segment on The Jump last week. And he had him getting rid of Andrew Wiggins, Brandon Pajemski, and Kevon Looney. I believe that was it for one Zion Williamson. I think that's a little rich. I don't know if I'm getting rid of Andrew Wiggins in any of these trade talks because, quite frankly, I don't know if you can get a player that's as consistent as Andrew Wiggins is, not only defensively, but, offensively he's been pretty good this season. I know it's been a little feast or famine at times, but for the most part, compared to last season, which was his worst offensive output, I feel like as a pro, he's been far better. And the only thing that's concerning right now about Andrew Wiggins would be the injuries. Him missing time. Now, he played yesterday, and he shot it well. 11 20, 5 and 9 from beyond the arc, 29 points for Andrew Wiggins, leading all Warriors scores yesterday. So, if he can just keep building on that and stay in the lineup and be healthy, then yeah, I'm not touching him. He's too important for this team as a two-way player. And those are hard to come by in the NBA. Now, if I'm getting Zion on the cheap and I can, part with some picks and just match the salaries, what have you, sure. But I'm not getting Andrew Wiggins. I'm not getting rid of him for Zion Williamson. He's played, 6 games this year? I feel like I'm saying that every year with Zion. Oh, he's played, 30 or 40 games. Great. It would be a low-risk move if I'm going to give up something. And Andrew Wiggins, if I'm giving him up, it turns into a high-risk move. He's just too important. But I'd love to know your thoughts, Warriors fans. Are you satisfied with the Dennis Schroeder acquisition? Is that enough for you right now to say, you know what, this Warriors team, they're making moves and they're trying to be legit contenders? Or are you saying, wake me up when it's a big boy? 888-957-9570. Speaking of the game last night, because I can't hammer this home enough, 143-133, the finals, the Dallas Mavericks win. The Warriors made 27 threes and lost yesterday. I don't know how that's processed. I don't know how. How do you process something like that, Draymond Green?
Defense. I'm not sure what the best way to process it is, but the answer to the problem is defense.
And how do you need to set the tone defensively, Dre?
I think they scored the first 11 possessions, something like that. You got to set a tone. And that's the tone you set. It's a good team. The team went to the Western Conference Finals, or Finals. So you set that tone. It's hard to stop a team. You can do that against the bum teams, but you set that tone against a great team, you're going to have a hard time catching up.
And that they did. They made a little bit of run there at the end of the third quarter to cut the lead to 7, but that firepower and that offensive output of Klay Thompson, of Luka Doncic, of Kyrie Irving, of PJ Washington, right? Hell, Daniel Gafford off the bench, giving him almost a double-double, 10 points, 9 boards for him, 4 offensive. It was just the Mavericks' night. Sometimes you got to tip your cap, your captain's cap, if you will, a la Klay Thompson. And it seemed a much more subdued crowd when it came to, I'm not going to say Klay Day Part 2 because there's only one Klay Day, and that's when he came back. So just Klay's, coming back to Chase Center. It's always something, but I'm going to reserve Klay Day. It's only the one day. But here is Clay talking about, his love of shooting at Chase Center.
I love shooting at Chase Center. I've been lucky enough to set records here and have incredible memories, so I try to tap into that every time I'm back. It's just as fun as the first time I came back, especially seeing all the number 11 jerseys and seeing the young fans and seeing how much of an impact I was able to have while I was here. It makes me incredibly proud of what I was able to do.
And what did Clay think about the franchise record for the Warriors for threes in a game happening in a loss?
That's good because I saw what Charlotte and Chicago did. So it's nice to counter that because a lot of fans think too many threes are being attempted. So it's nice to show that shooting is still incredible in this league. I really believe as the game gets longer as far as years played, maybe there'll be a 4-point line one day.
4-point line. Is that what's going to improve the ratings? Because I don't know if you guys have been following along the weekend or the past week. Ratings not great for the NBA. Is it a 3-point shot? Is it we need to reduce that? Is it a lack of dunks and athleticism? I don't know what it is. There's a lot of factors, but to just solely put it because of the 3-point shot and people are tired of that, I just disagree. Why do people love Steph Curry? Well, people love Steph Curry because he makes a 3-point shot and because of his size and his stature. Although, again, I like to remind people that Stephen Curry is not a small human by average human standards. He is 6'3" tall. He's pretty big too. Now he used to be skinny, gangly, just 150 pounds soaking wet. It looked like, and that's what a lot of people gravitated towards. It's like, oh, okay. When I see him on the screen, he looks like an average person. When he's going up against the likes of a LeBron James or the likes of an Anthony Davis you see over there, or a Jason Tatum, guys like that are just physical, just specimens, right? And then you see a guy like Steph Curry out there, it's like, oh, great. But Steph's one of one. And the NBA does have a problem when it comes to marketing their teams. Like I was just saying, the NBA Cup, I just had to go player versus player. And the NFL, the franchises matter. It used to be like that in the NBA, but the NBA, it's such a top-heavy league. How many franchises matter in the NBA? Like, matter. Celtics, Lakers, Knicks, Warriors, and who am I missing? Am I missing someone that's like, right? Miami? Okay. But that's what I'm talking about right there. You go to the NFL and their ability to just market the franchise, the storied franchises, and get not even the storied ones though. If this was the NFL, if the NFL had a version of their NBA Cup, let's say it was the NFL Cup and they had a mini tournament, and they'd never do this, but let's just, play games here. The hypotheticals. Shout out Jim Harbaugh. The Chargers took a fat loss yesterday, by the way. Let's just say the NFL had their version. And the final was, let's say, the Seahawks and give me an AFC team. That's whatever. Seahawks and the Dolphins. Let's do that. You don't think that their final would do massive numbers? Buku numbers? Not even close. There'd be extra juice on the game. I know the NFL will market it well. They'd probably put it on Netflix, something like that. They'd gas it up. They'd hype it up. This NBA Cup, though, I don't know. It's the second year, so I'll give it a chance. And the fact that the Lakers won it in the first year, I think, helped the league. Because if it was, Pacers versus Kings, and I love you Kings fans for listening, no shots, it's a tough sell. So the Lakers winning in the first year, I think, legitimizes it somewhat. And now we got Milwaukee, but they got one of the biggest faces in the NBA, and the Greek Freak and Giannis, and one of the rising stars in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which is great, which is awesome. But I still think there's a disconnect with selling that to the fan base. And you can say all you want, oh, they're just casuals, they're casuals. That's the thing. You got to sell it to the casuals. I know the NFL can sell it to the casuals. I know the NFL can sell me Browns, Jaguars if they need it. They needed to. They could sell me on it. Be a tough watch to watch Jameis versus Mac Jones, but I'm watching it. But even with great players and great stories, they're not selling it very well for the NBA. So I just need to get that off my chest because I keep seeing the ratings right now for the NBA, and they're not great. Television ratings, that is. And there's just a multitude of factors for that. Now, we're blessed here in the Bay Area because we do have a ratings machine, and his name is Stephen Curry. And we do love some Stephen Curry, although I don't love them taking L's like they did yesterday. Steph, 9 of 19, 7 of 13 from beyond the arc. He was shooting it well. 26 points for him, 10 assists. Nice little double-double for one Steph Curry. And here's Steve Kerr after the game, though, talking about how hard it is to play uphill against a team like the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I mean, that was the key. We gave up 46 in the first quarter, and we're playing upstream the rest of the way. I'm not sure I've ever seen a box score like this. You know, we go 27 for 54 from three, 39 assists, 10 turnovers. And it felt like we were never really in the game. You know, we cut it to 5 a couple times. Guys kept fighting, but they controlled the entire game on a night where we made 27 threes and didn't turn the ball over. It's the modern NBA. It's a different world. It's a different game. 10 years ago, you see that kind of offensive stat sheet for the offense, you know, for our team. I said we win that game by 20, you know, maybe 30. But they made 21 threes. You know, they must have shot 65% on twos. I mean, we just could not contain them at all. And as I said, they dominated. They deserved the credit, and they played a great game.
It was an offensive show, and it was fun to watch. And I think people like that. I love watching that kind of basketball. Are they yearning for the 90 to 88 kind of games, or the 80 to 77 type of game? I don't know if we want to go back to that. I think there's a happy medium of good offense and great defense, and sometimes the offense is just so good, it doesn't matter about the defense. Now, don't tell it to Draymond Green, because he obviously said they need to set the tone more defensively. And here is what Draymond Green had to say after coming off the bench.
That was just no force. You know, Luka played awful last game that he played, and he made it a point to come out and correct the mistake. And you could see it from the gate. And he did exactly what he set out to do. Imposed his will, and everybody else over there fell in line.
And he did set the tone. And it's watching Luka Doncic. I know, and I see our guy, our program director, Matt Nahigi, and he can't stand watching Luka play, and a lot of people can't. But there is a gracefulness at times. At times, I don't want to trigger anyone, to his game. The way he can slow it down. The way he could just dictate the pace for a guy that's not very quick. But he's big. Not very quick. A little doughy. But it's Joker-esque. These guys coming over from Europe now, they play at the pace that they want to play. And they don't care if you're bigger or faster or stronger. They are going to get theirs, and they're going to make you look foolish at times. And that's what Luka does. That's what the Joker does. That's what Dirk Nowitzki did, although Dirk is 7 feet tall. Joker, damn near 7 feet tall. Luka, was he 6'8"? Guy's huge too. But none of those guys are the fastest or the quickest. They can just be a step ahead of you. The IQ. It's off the charts. And one thing I do appreciate about Luka, because a lot of people look, he's a selfish player. He's not selfish. 13 assists. Guy needs the ball in his hands. He's ball dominant, but you know what? When he's that good, I want him to have the ball in his hands at times. Now, do I think this Mavericks team has what it, as currently constructed, has what it takes to win the whole damn thing? I don't know. I still think something. I don't know what it is. Something's missing. I saw it against that Celtics. And maybe is Clay going to be the difference? If Clay plays like he did yesterday, sure. The problem is he's not been consistent all season long. He's got a lot of career lows in a lot of his numbers. But as soon as he saw that Golden State Warriors, blue and yellow, blue and gold, whatever you want to call it. I know people get offended. It's like, it's not yellow, it's gold. It's like, all right. As soon as he saw those colors, a light bulb went off in his head. Is it going to be the same when it's against the Lakers, when it's against the Thunder, when it's against maybe the Celtics again, if they have a rematch in the finals? I'm not sure. 888-957-9570. I'll put a bow on this Warriors conversation. Again, your thoughts on the Dennis Schroeder acquisition as the Warriors trade for the German player out of Brooklyn. Also, you worried about this Warriors team at all? Is that enough? Do they need to make a bigger move? Or is this the start of a lot of moves, potentially, for Mike Dunleavy and the Golden State Warriors front office? Your thoughts on Clay coming back, how he's looked, and also, we need to get him on this Brock Purdy conversation and what Tom Pelissero had to report over the weekend from NFL Network in regards to Purdy's potential future contract with the San Francisco 49ers. Plus, but wait, there's more. Shout out Billy Mays, RIP. Jay Glazer. Did you hear what Jay Glazer of Fox Sports had to say yesterday in regards to Devondre Campbell and one John Lynch confronting him on the sideline? Oh, yeah. You're not going to miss this. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Planning to propose this holiday? Shane Company is ready to help you find your dream engagement ring. We handpick the most beautiful diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. So when you walk in the door, you can trust your rock is in stock. At Shane Company, we've always sourced directly, cut out the middleman, and pass the savings on to you. We work with your
We're back. Thank you, Brandon Pajenski. Just chopping up with Joe Shasky in the back. Joe Shasky and Bonte Hill. Oh, they'll be on here in about 30 minutes or so. 888-957-9570 is the number. You got me here for the next two segments. One segment down. We're talking Mavericks, Warriors. We're talking Dennis Schroeder joining the Golden State Warriors in a trade. Klay Thompson having a big game. Luka Doncic, triple-double. 40-point triple-double. He's got 5 of those. It's unreal. Steph had a great game too. Just wasn't enough yesterday to get it done. But something else took place over the weekend. And it came from Tom Pelissero yesterday, NFL Network. And this is the quote that is going to have us talking about this contract and Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan and Jed York, John Lynch, for the rest of this season, all off season. Quote, again, Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, talking about Brock Purdy and his future contract. Quote, the situation is this. He's eligible for a contract extension starting at the end of the regular season, which is in all likelihood going to be the end of the season as a whole for the 49ers. Next year is a contract year. If a deal is going to get done, I would anticipate it as at the top of the market for all the reasons I just said. That's Dak's number. That is $60 million per year. Are the 49ers willing to go to that? Or are they going to be in a situation where you could have a standoff with your starting quarterback into the offseason? Now, that's Tom Pelissero. And he got that from someone in Brock Purdy's camp. His agent, Brock Purdy, someone told Tom Pelissero that. $60 million per year. He wants Dak Prescott money. And when he says, when Pelissero says that last little line, are they going to be in a situation where you could have a standoff with your starting quarterback into the offseason? That's coming from Purdy's camp. That's them saying, pay me or I'm not playing. And I think some 49ers fans were caught off guard when they heard this. Some thought, oh, wait, he's not going to take a discount? But nice guy Brock Purdy, look. I mean, look at his face. He's just so nice. How did he do this to us? He stabbed us in the heart. How could you ask for all that money, Brock? Easy. You saw what took place with Brandon Ayuk this year, who held out and then had a horrible, horrible ACL injury. And we don't even know if he's going to come back at the start of this upcoming year, this upcoming season. We don't even know. But we do know this. He got paid. He's got his security. And Brock Purdy knows all it takes is an injury within these next couple weeks, potentially, if he's playing. He just lost hundreds of millions of dollars, potentially. That's how cut and dry sports are, especially the NFL, where it's not like Major League Baseball, and it's not like the NBA, where all that money is basically guaranteed. So Brock Purdy wants $60 million per year, 49ers fans. You doing that? You doing that? I think the 49ers have to do it. I'm not saying should they do it, because I'm not paying Brock Purdy that much money. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's played great at times. But the 49ers have pigeonholed themselves into a situation where they will have to pay him. What's the backup plan? Are you pivoting to Sam Darnold? You're going to have to pay him too. Are you more comfortable paying him, a 3-year, $100 million deal a deal like that instead of Purdy and, have Purdy, trade Purdy? Like, is that what you'd rather do if you're Kyle Shanahan? I don't think so. I think Shanahan really likes Brock Purdy. I think he does exactly what he wants. He adds a little bit of athleticism. Yes, his physical attributes are lacking compared to guys like Darnold, compared to guys like, Mahomes of the world, the Josh Allens, guys that have cannons of an arm. And he is a little bit injury prone. He's gotten hurt this season. He's had major surgeries. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury. Are they going to have to clean that up in the offseason? That's now 2 off seasons. Check that. 2 of the last 3 off seasons where you've had major surgery. Like, anytime you go into a knife, I consider it major surgery. You might not consider it, but I do. And that's what the 49ers are potentially looking at if that shoulder is that messed up. So, dealing with that, and you're dealing with just the team in general getting older. And do you want to allocate all those resources to one player? When you're looking all around this team and you're saying to yourself, oh God, the offensive line could be better. The defensive line, my God, it's Nick Bosa and who? Leonard Floyd's going to have like the quietest double-digit sack season I've ever seen in my life. Secondary, Travarius Ward's got to go. You already paid Yammer Lenore. That's great. How do you feel about safety position, though? Hufanga got the club on his hand. He's looked better last week. I'm not sure. Jair Brown, you got still. Malik Mustafa. Like, you've hit on some guys. And the linebacking position. And Dre Greenlaw, I would hope you're bringing him back, but this is a guy coming off an Achilles injury. What's that cost going to be like? I don't know. Is it going to be cheap? Is it going to be a prove-it deal? So what I'm saying here is this. You can pay Brock Purdy $60 million, but don't expect this team to be contenders next season. They're just not going to be. There's too many holes. When I look at this roster right now, there are too many holes and too many question marks for me to give Brock Purdy that much money. But I think the 49ers have backed themselves into a corner to which they have to pay him. Again, Tom Pelissero, NFL Network. If a deal is going to get done, I would anticipate it's going to be at the top of the quarterback market for all the reasons I just said, and that's Dak Prescott's number. That is $60 million per year. Are the 49ers willing to go to that, or are they going to be in a situation where you have a standoff with your starting quarterback into the offseason? And God, that's just... If I could go a 49ers offseason without a standoff, that'd be great. Oh, my God. Just Debo, Ayuk, Purdy then? Just, please. Bosa. So many standoffs. Tired of it. I think the 49ers are tired of it too. So that was why it's refreshing to see in season they pay their cornerback Lenore an extension already. It's like, okay, great. Don't have to worry about that one. Now we're on to Brock Purdy. And there's still 3 games here in the regular season. So it's not like everything's set in stone. I don't think Brock Purdy can play that poorly to finish off the season where the 49ers sour on him, but I'm not ruling it out. You got the Dolphins, you got the Lions, you got the Cardinals. Dolphins are, meh. Who'd they lose to yesterday? Dolphins? The Texans, that's right. CJ Stroud. Texans locked up that division, courtesy of the Broncos taking care of business against the Indianapolis Colts. So back-to-back seasons, the Houston Texans are now AFC South champs. CJ Stroud looking a little bit better. Nico Collins, we'll see. But that's the schedule going forward. Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals. I don't know if Purdy can show us anything that bolsters his, his number, but I think he can hurt his number. I absolutely think that. If anything, he can't gain anything these last 3 days. He can only lose these last 3 games to me. Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals. And none of those are world beaters on defense. Hell, did you guys see the injuries mount for the Detroit Lions defense? My God. I didn't think it was that bad. And then you look up and it's just like, oh my God. How are they doing this? And by the way, Dan Campbell, as we just dive into some of that weekend action, what are we doing with that onside kick, buddy? Come on. It was a 2-score game. You never know. You get a turnover, you're right back in it. You had plenty of time still in the fourth quarter, and plenty's a stretch, but you had enough time to where if you took care of your own business, you still got a chance in that game. But doing the onside kick, when the likelihood that you're going to get it is just lowest. It's the lowest rate that it's ever been in the National Football League. What are we doing, Dan? Overthinking it there. Bills, that offense is for real, but that defense, I still have question marks there. But Josh Allen, no question marks about that. He's the MVP. He's locked it up. Where's my lock-up sound? Because what Saquon Barkley didn't do yesterday in a big Eagles win, Josh Allen did do in his team's win. And that was the closest guy in his league, in his category. Yeah, Lamar Jackson had a great performance, but I think he's third tier now, just given where the Ravens' record is. It's Josh Allen's award to lose, and I think he's already wrapped it up in yesterday's win. 888-957-9570. Speaking of wrapping up, we're going to wrap up this show on the other side. One more segment to go before handing off to Bonta Hill and Joe Shasky. Your thoughts, 49ers fans, when you heard this report from Tom Pelissero that Brock Purdy is seeking $60 million. He's seeking Dak Prescott money. You doing that? On 95.7 The Game.
Lowe's knows that to win the job,
publication that has provided in-depth historical accounts for over 30 years. And The Panorama, a quarterly newsletter covering ongoing activities and historical presentations. Go to sfhistory.org and discover the San Francisco Historical Society, giving our history a great future. Become a member today.
Dub Nation, it's Lindy Waters.
Was going to be one of the better three-point shooters in the game. Ended up not being it. 3 of 11 for Buddy Buckets, only 9 points for him, but Lindy Waters, 12 points for him off the bench, productive, and he was actually a team high, plus 13 in the plus-minus category, which again, not the end-all be-all. Warriors take the L yesterday, 143-133. We've discussed that. Dennis Schroeder, the big acquisition of the weekend for the Dubs. How's he going to fit into the rotation going forward? We shall see when they take on the Memphis Grizzlies this Thursday. But we've been talking 49ers, and the latest from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network is this in regards to Brock Purdy seeking potentially $60 million. He wants to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He wants that kind of money. And Pelissero of the NFL Network is saying, when you look at Purdy, you got to look at the totality of his career.
Yeah, with Brock Purdy, I think you have to look at it in the aggregate here. In his short career, because he took over, as a 7th-round pick and took over late in the 2022 season, he's already got 13 games with 120 passer rating, which is the most of any player ever over their first 3 seasons here. The efficiency numbers are really strong on him. And he's been a part of 4 playoff wins. I mean, the last 2 guys to reset the market were Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson, who have 4 playoff wins combined. And wins are not a quarterback stat, but the point is, they've found a way to win a ton of games with Brock Purdy. So
wins are not a quarterback stat, yet I'm citing them to back up Brock Purdy's case of why you pay him. Like, did we not learn this from Jimmy Garoppolo? The quarterback wins thing. Like, come on. And I think much higher Brock Purdy. Let me get this straight. I think Brock, at his highest, was way better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock was an MVP candidate last year. I am not taking that away from him. He's very good. He was great at times. Last year, people are probably going to think I'm an idiot. That's fine. Most people do anyways. I said last year I'm taking Brock Purdy over Josh Allen for last year. And people were coming down and like, oh, he ended up being an MVP candidate. If he didn't have that stinker against the Baltimore Ravens, maybe he would have won it. But he did. That being said, what are the other options? That's what I want to know. What? Kirk Cousins? Please. It's laughable. Sam Darnold? Like, we're more comfortable paying Sam Darnold. We're more comfortable paying Sam Darnold because he's had one good year, but we're not comfortable paying Brock Purdy because he's been bad for a few games this season. Like, the totality of Brock's career, he's been a better player than Sam Darnold. Now, does the situation matter in that? Sure. Would Sam look infinitely better with Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers? Sure, but that wasn't the case. I have to go off, again, the aggregate, as Tom Pelissero said. And the aggregate of Sam Darnold's career is he's been a journeyman to this point who has, had his best season with Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings and has put himself in a position to get paid by somebody, either as a bridge quarterback or as a legit starter. Like, I look at the Seattle Seahawks. They might pay Sam Darnold. I mean, Geno Smith, yikes, we'll see with that injury. Sam Howell came in, he's not it. Maybe they pay Sam Darnold. And now you're playing Darnold in your own division. We'll see. I just think that there's nowhere else to pivot. Purdy's not going to play hardball. And what are you going to do next season? The Pastronaut? Brandon Allen? Really? That's what you're doing? It's not. Come on. Let's get serious here. And if you pay Sam Darnold, you're not paying Brock Purdy. You're trading him for what? Someone giving you up a first, probably a second for Brock Purdy. Again, there is so many different details that need to be hammered out between now and then. I don't think Brock Purdy can help his value these next 3 games. I think he could only hurt it with his play. A win and he balls out against the Dolphins, But if he doesn't look good against the Dolphins, see? Or against the Detroit Lions. Oh, thankfully they don't play him this week because I do think the Lions will have a good bounce back. And who's got the Lions got coming up? Because that was, I think the final score makes it look better than the Lions because the Bills pretty much dominated most of that game. When you're watching it, the Lions were just playing from behind constantly. So they got the Bears, they got the 49ers, and they got the Vikings. Ooh, that final game against the Vikings, that'll be juicy. But all of a sudden, the Eagles have action for that number 1 overall seed. And if the season ended today and the Detroit Lions had to play the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game, I'm taking the Eagles. And I'm loving that pick. Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. See that defense and what they did to Russ, that running game yesterday, Najee Harris and co. I mean, Russ floated one to Freiermuth. The final score should have looked a lot. I mean, that touchdown to Freiermuth, my God, it was just a floater. Should have been picked by Gardner Johnson. But they got away with it. The Steelers, I'm not buying them in the AFC. They play hard. They play physical. And now a low ankle injury for TJ Watt, we'll see. That's tough because he was playing with his hair on fire. He's been a baller, and hopefully that doesn't keep him out very long. Speaking of other injuries and ankle sprains in particular, the fear is for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a high ankle sprain for Patrick Mahomes. Will they rest him this week? Will they rest him for the Christmas game? Could they lose out potentially on the number 1 overall seed in the AFC if they lose the next couple of games? Well, they got Carson Wentz as the backup, capable backup. We saw what he could do with the Rams last year in that final game at Levi's Stadium in the regular season where Carson Wentz had the game-winning drive. They won. Sam Darnold had the game-losing fumble, and that was all she wrote. More on the Devondre Campbell situation that took place. And I want to pivot here for the last 5 minutes. Jay Glazer, Fox Sports. He's their insider. He does a very good job. He's been tapped in for a lot of players in a lot of different locker rooms for a very long time. Here's what he had to say on what he heard regarding Devondre Campbell and 49ers general manager John Lynch.
The 49ers are trying to suspend him. They're working with the league office to see what's the max they can do. And even if he wanted to come and apologize and come back, players don't want it. But you're asking what happened behind the scenes. They started seeing in about the second quarter, he was refusing to go in. So John Lynch actually went down there in the fourth quarter and confronted him on it, saying, you don't want to go in the game. You're refusing. Yes, it was Lynch who sent him in the locker room. By the way, I got players who called me after and said, hey, we've heard you talk about this alter ego of John Lynch, this 47 Red character. Man, we saw it. That dude is crazy. Oh. They all saw it firsthand.
I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. You don't want 47 Red. You want John Lynch.
Don't. That's exactly right.
Telling
me that a guy refuses to go into the game when the coach says go in, and he says no, and you can't suspend him without going through all this red tape.
Well, how much they could suspend him, because they don't want to just sit there and give him one game. They'd love to give him 3 games, but there's certain rules.
Why not get rid of him?
Because then he can get paid by somebody else.
So John Lynch told him to kick rocks. And he went full Hall of Famer safety mode, John Lynch too. Oh God, I love it. John Lynch was not playing. And you know, that's what we needed on the sideline. I needed some of that. And they've missed that. They've missed that edge with this team. And it came from the general manager, and quite frankly, it came from Drake Greenlaw in that first half. But the general manager is showing more edge than some of the players right now. That is a problem, but I appreciate and I applaud him for doing the right thing and saying, no, get the hell off my sideline. It's a Hall of Famer. That's a Super Bowl champion, John Lynch. As a player, he went player mode there and said, get the hell out of here. John Lynch's probably ready to kick his ass. I don't blame the guy. Oh my God. I wish I was a fly on the wall. Or I guess in this case on the bench just to see what took place. We know John can get down there fast. He got that little elevator. He can get down there quick. Man, when I heard that yesterday, I was like, oh. And that's the smart move. Suspend him. I'm not helping this guy out. I'm not trying to give in to him and cut his ass. No. Not only am I not going to pay you, you're not going to go help someone else. You're not going to get paid from someone else. Hell no. Tom Pelissero weighed in as well as the Devondre Campbell situation. Hard to see him coming back.
That's a hard one to walk back into a locker room. Everybody out there is miserable in that weather, and it's just an ugly type of a game. You lose a couple of linebackers, because they had, D. Winters got banged up. They had Flanagan Fowles got banged up too. So they had nobody left. And then for Devondre Campbell to basically tell the coaches, no, I'm not going in. I'm not going to say it's surprising, Rich, because Devondre Campbell is a very talented player, but also one who at multiple stops now has worn out his welcome for one reason or another. A suspension may be the most likely thing here. But even then, it's hard to imagine that guy's coming back to the 49ers.
No, he's cooked. I think his career is cooked, for that matter. And I can't wait to hear what Brian Baldinger has to say about that tomorrow at 7:30. But I can't wait to hear what Jerry freaking Rice has to say about that at 8:30 today. The GOAT, Jerry Rice, he'll definitely have thoughts on Devondre Campbell. He'll have thoughts on Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, where the season went wrong for the 49ers, as I know mathematically they're not eliminated yet, but they're all but eliminated. So we'll get the GOAT's thoughts on that at 8:30 when he joins Joe Shasky, Bonte Hill, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. That's all coming up next. Have a good morning, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Looking for lifelong financial guidance? Look no further than Pettinelli Financial Partners, your dedicated financial coaches for every stage of life's journey. Whether you're planning for retirement, starting a family,